Hey guys, Lon from the ECOM zone here, and I have some great news for you guys. Trump just cut tariffs to China for 90 days, so drop shipping to the US from China may be back on the menu. So we're not too sure what's going to happen because AliExpress still need to make the changes, but in this video, what we'll be discussing is tariff cuts, the Geneva meeting, how AliExpress will handle the situation, what actions you need to take as a dropshipper, and my Facebook ad strategy moving forward. So the first thing we'll talk about is the massive tariff cuts.
We have reached an agreement on a 90-day pause and substantially moved down the tariff levels. Both sides on the reciprocal tariffs will move their tariffs down 115%.
So China and the US has agreed on a 90-day pause to the deepening trade war that has threatened the global economy, with reciprocal tariffs to be lowered by 115%. So with the 115% reduction, Chinese duties on US goods will be lowered to 10%, while the US tax on Chinese goods will be lowered to 30%. That's because the US tariffs include a 20% rate imposed by Trump before the latest trade war. And that was to counter the fentanyl that's going from China into the US. So the fentanyl related tariff will still apply. However, I haven't read any news on the de minimis exemption, but hopefully that gets reduced by 150% too, so maybe it'll sit around 10 to 20 to 30%. The only problem we have here is the tariffs that AliExpress is charging at the moment isn't 125%, it isn't really 135%. It seems like they're charging us around 150%. So even with these numbers out, it really just depends on what AliExpress charges us at checkout. So these tariffs will be reduced on May 14th, 2025, which is in 2 days. So it's not immediate effect. And also, we still need to wait for AliExpress to make their changes. So here's the reference. I mean, there's plenty of articles out there, but what I'm waiting for is the White House fact sheet, which I can't find. And once I find that fact sheet, I'll just leave a comment on this video. So the Geneva meeting. So if you guys didn't know, the Geneva meetings were the first face-to-face interactions between the senior US and Chinese economic officials since Trump returned to power and launched a global tariff blitz, imposing particularly heavy duties on China. Two sides had agreed on a 90-day pause on measures, and both countries represented their national interests very well. President said, "We both had an interest in balanced trade. The US will continue moving towards that." The consensus from both delegations this weekend is neither side wants a decoupling and they still want to trade. So this is really good news, and you can't really have a 150% tariff in place and continue trading. It just doesn't work. So AliExpress shipping to the US. So last week, AliExpress suppliers in China stopped shipping to the US. Now some continue shipping because they may have warehouses in the US. However, most of the suppliers stopped shipping to the US. We now need to wait and see how long it takes for AliExpress to update their platform to start shipping to the US again. Now, it took about a week for AliExpress to stop shipping to the US, so I assume it'll probably take them a week for them to start shipping to the US again, and hopefully with lowered tariffs. Many suppliers also stopped shipping to the US completely because they just couldn't pay that tariff. So AliExpress suppliers will have to update their shipping settings too to include the US. Shipping fee to the US. So last week, AliExpress started charging a $5 shipping fee per parcel to the US. And hopefully this shipping fee will be removed or lowered back down to $2, as this will still be very costly for anyone selling low average order value products. So about 2 weeks ago, you can see here the shipping cost is £4.04 on this item here, but back then it was almost free shipping or around $2. So hopefully the shipping fee to the US gets lowered. And it also depends on how big the parcel is, how heavy is the product, etc. So these huge tariffs at checkout. So for the past 2 weeks, almost all products shipping to the US had additional tariffs at checkout at about 150% of the product price. Since the news is still fresh and the new tariff cuts do not roll out until May 14th, we still need to wait for AliExpress to change the tariff calculations, and I'm hoping it's around 10 to 30%. So you can see here, this was a screenshot taken like 2 weeks ago. The item cost £12. the shipping fee was free. However, the additional charge was £18.32. So that is around 150%, because 100% is £12 on top, and then £6 is half of 12. So what does this mean for dropshippers? We may be able to dropship to the US again, which is great news for me because I've been trying to pivot to other countries and it's been a struggle. So I'll be discussing that in another video, which will probably come out next week. But again, May 20th, I will be going on a 2-month holiday to Vietnam and Japan. So uploads may be slower, but I'll still do my best to update you guys on the tariff situation, my business, and how I'm still dropshipping. So we still need to wait for AliExpress to update their shipping fees to the US. So do not start shipping to the US just because of this announcement. We also need to wait for AliExpress to update their tariffs to the US because it's still 150%. And also hold back on launching ads to the US until AliExpress reduces that tariff. Once AliExpress reduces tariffs, message your suppliers, ask them if it's okay to ship to the US. Make sure your suppliers are actually shipping to the US too, and then you can launch your ads to the US. You also need to update your shipping settings if you've changed it. So for me, I will need to update my shipping settings to the US again, as I introduce my own tariffs and shipping fees at checkout. So as you can see here, this is my current shipping settings. Track shipping plus tariff, estimated 5 to 20 business days, £80. So what I'll be changing this to after AliExpress reduces tariffs is free track shipping, EST 5 to 15 business days, and it'll be £0, so completely free. And the reason why I'm not dropping this back down to 5 to 10 business days is because there may still be delays. I'll also need to update my market settings because I did change that too. So I'll need to decrease my prices to the US to 5% within the market section on Shopify, as I'd raised this price to 20% due to the tariffs. So if you go to markets, click the US, products and pricing, you'll see this at the top. You'll basically change this increase here. So if you've never been to this page, then it's probably set to 0% default, so you just leave it as it is. But for me, because it's set to 20%, I'm going to lower this back down to 5%. And the last thing I want to talk to you guys about is the Facebook ad strategy. So I'll be adding the US back into my campaigns because they have been performing poorly without the US. And again, I'll go through this in another video, so do subscribe to my channel and stay up to date with that. I'll also create a separate campaign for the US and UK only, as they bring in the most sales for me. I'll introduce cost cap campaigns in hope to control volatility in ad costs, and hopefully sales starts rocketing again, but it really also depends on the economy and how things play out. So fingers are crossed, AliExpress reduces tariffs back down to around 10 to 30% on US, and then we can dropship to the US again from China. And that's the update for this video, guys. If you enjoyed this video and you found it valuable, smash that like button, leave a comment section below, and subscribe to my channel for more content. Peace.